Sisi tumefurahi kuwa kwa kioski yetu. Ni aftu mwingine. So, whether it is a kiosk, whether wanafanyia biashara, kila kitu ni biashara. Hata wale wa vyama ingine si ni biashara wanafanya. Na sisi tukifanya biashara shida ni nini?
The ANC MP at the same time implored on Parliament to ensure IEBC is adequately funded ahead of general elections.
Kipindi kiisha, Chebukati tafadhali, Chebukati tunakuomba tafadhali. Usiongeze dakika, usiongeze saa, wewe linda katiba ya Kenya.
Elsewhere in Kitui County, UDA party coordinators have dismissed Kalonzo Musyoka's presidential bid.
We are hustlers, and the hustlers are the masses in Kenya. Everybody, especially in Ukambani, you know, we are masses. The hustlers are masses.
Kevin Washira, Lunchtime News.
And away from the political arena, 7 Comoros sailors died and 8 others are undergoing treatment at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital after surviving on the Indian Ocean waters for over 20 days after their boat stalled. Now, the sailors are said to have been on a day's trip from Zoani to the Mayotte Island before their boat developed a mechanical problem, followed by a strong tide that pushed them far. Locals and medical teams have since then come to their aid as they try and trace their families.
This ward at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital has been set aside for survivors of a 22-day ordeal in the Indian Ocean waters. These sailors, hailing from the Comoros Island, are the lucky ones to have escaped death after the boat they were travelling in developed an engine problem and was later swept far into the ocean waters.
Between Komoro kwa bahati mbaya wakapigwa na maji makubwa na wakapotea wakiwa watu 15, lakini walikufa wakabaki watu 8. Kutokana na safari yao pahali walikuwa wanaenda si safari ya siku nyingi, ni safari kama ya siku moja. Kwa hivyo walikuwa na chakula cha siku moja ama siku 2 tu ndio kiweza kuwapeleka.
The survivors were found by a team of fishermen famished and dehydrated. Nasir Abu Bakr speaks their native language and has been working with those who can gather a little bit of strength with the cooperation of Navy officials to trace their families.
Wengine bado hatujaweza kupata watu wao.
Some of the sailors are yet to regain consciousness. Yusuf Far reporting for Lunchtime News.
And now on matters the human-wildlife conflict, more than 10,000 residents of Chakama area in Magarini constituency in Kilifi County are protesting against massive destruction of their farm crops by elephants and hippos. According to the residents, the rogue animals have allegedly been destroying crops since February this year, causing losses amounting to millions of shillings. Locals say the Kenya Wildlife Service is yet to intervene. Chakama area in Magarini constituency, Kilifi County. These are the scenes that characterize some of the affected areas. Totally destroyed are cassava, maize and banana plantations as well as coconut trees.
Tangu mwezi wa pili mwaka huu tumeng'ang'ana na ndovu mbaya sana kufukuzana nao. Na kwenye mihogo, mahindi yote karibu 100 eka zangu 2 zimekwisha zote kuliwa na ndovu.
Over 10 villages have been affected, including Bakae, Mchikenzi, Bofu, Shakahola and Majengo. The elephants, reportedly the most destructive, usually move in a herd of between 5 and 20.
Hawa ndovu wamejigawanya kimakundi. Wamejigawanya, wengine ni 10, utapata kule ni 20, wengine 15, 5, 2, na kuna ndovu mwingine yuko na pembe moja. Huyo ndiye ambaye hata wanyama anawaoa wanyama. Kuna ng'ombe ambao amefikisha ng'ombe 3.
Residents say they are now staring at hunger. Some farmers have resorted to harvesting their crops early or spending the night guarding their farms.
So tumeamua kulala hata kwa mashamba kulinda ndovu. Sasa kulinda ndovu na hakuna hatua yote yenye hata ndovu akiingia kwa shamba hakuna venye utamfanya, anakula, akishiba anatoka anaenda.
Ukiona ni hao basi nipige tochi, lakini siwezi kukaribia karibu kwa kuangalia hao. Kundi ni kukaribia karibu, ni tochi tu, nipige tochi. lakini asipopenda kutoka anakaa pale pale akule mpaka atoke nje.
The locals are now blaming the Kenya Wildlife Services for not taking any action to address the
Ni hizi ripoti tukizipeleka kwa wahusika, hasa sisi tuko katika Kilifi County, ambao Kilifi County iko na maaskari wake, lakini response ya upande wa Malindi iko very poor.
Ni mara kwa mara tumeongea kwa wahusika ambao ni KWS, wanakuja, wakikuja hakuna shughuli wanafanya.
Nishamtembelea hata Waziri Balala, nishaongea na PS kuhusu swala hili ili waone ni vipi wanaweza wasaidia watu wa Chakama location kuhakikisha kwamba wale ndovu wanaona venye watawatenga na wananchi, ili kila msimu wananchi watakapopanda waone kwamba wanapata mavuno bila kutishika ama kuwa na tatizo la ndovu.
School-going children are forced to stay home, and those who cannot report can only do so after 10 a.m. KWS Malindi Marine National Park and Reserve Deputy Wade in Munene says the matter has not been brought to the attention. And on matters education, Mangu Primary School in Roiro constituency, Kiambu County, which was constructed to help decongest two schools in Githurai, has already enrolled 300 pupils. Roiro Member of Parliament Simon Kingara says the school, which sits on a 3-acre piece of land, was constructed courtesy of funds from both the Ministry of Education and Roiro Constituency Development Fund. Let's take a look.
The legislator said the school offered a reprieve for parents and children in the highly populated area who have been walking long distances to seek education. He noted that schools in the area, especially Mwiki Primary School and Kwang'ethe Primary School,
eneo hili liko na watu wengi kwa sababu kuna viwanda mingi sana zaidi ya 60, na itabidi nasi tusukume tuone wamepata nafasi ya kuingia kwa mashule ya eneo.
Are congested and lack adequate infrastructure. Kingara said the plans to expand the school by adding more classrooms as well as laboratories are underway.
Ngeomba tupatiwe mgao kiasi kikubwa ndio tuweze kusukuma yale yako mbele.
Parents expressed their delight, terming the new project as God-sent.
Lakini kwa sababu ya kutukumbuka na kuleta watoto kutuletea shule hapa karibu, tunashukuru sana na tunamwambia Mungu ambariki na ambariki sana.
Sasa tunaona tutaweza kusomesha watoto wetu vizuri na wataweza kuendelea mbele.
They said the new school has given Manguo area a new face. Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Lunchtime News.
And on health matters, teachers in Busia County have been asked to present themselves for vaccination against COVID-19. Busia Deputy County Commissioner Kipchumba Ruto says teachers offer crucial special services and should be protected. He said their protection is also key owing to their interaction with learners.
The government has ramped up its vaccination drive across the country following the recent inflow of vaccine donations. And with schools having reopened, teachers continue to be at risk. The Busia Deputy County Commissioner Kipchumba Ruto is now appealing to the group to present itself for vaccination against the disease.
And they are at risk because wanafunzi wako na immunity ya juu because they are still very young. But teachers are very old, so they have very low immunity. So they are at risk if they avoid uchanjwa. They are at risk, high risk. So they should come out wapata hiyo chap within our hospital here.
Ruto further reassuring the area residents of the safety of the vaccine, even as he urged residents to continue adhering to the containment measures in place.
Normally move to schools to ensure protocols are being observed in every school. And we normally visit them, you get them having masks. We insist that masks must be worn appropriately. Unlike wengine wanaweka kama tai, hata wengine wakifika ofisi wana bull down so that they can talk.
Out of the 698,905 second phase doses administered in the country, teachers account for 102,007. Nancy Okware, Lunchtime News.
Women in Samburu took their anger to the streets to protest alleged harassment by security agencies in an operation to flush out herders who have invaded private farms and ranches. The protesters accused the agencies of using excessive force. The protesters said they have been living at the 80,000-acre NYS Kirimon farm in Laikipia North that they say is owned by the government.
Hundreds of women staged a protest at Posta Shopping Center in Laikipia North, claiming that the officers deployed in the area were torturing residents instead of restoring security and evicting armed herders from the neighboring counties as was ordered by the government.
Hakuna mtu amejenga dunia ni Mungu na hatuwezi kuhama, hakuna bali tunaenda.
This came after the government ordered a security operation in Laikipia County to evict migrant herders who had invaded private farms and ranches. They say that the security forces have disrupted their livelihoods.
Tunaomba akuje asikie habari yetu, akuje asikie kilio yetu sisi kama wakazi wa Laikipia. Sisi wa Samburu.
A spot check has revealed a looming humanitarian crisis in the area where women and children are fleeing their homes in the last 2 weeks in fear of torture by security forces.
Mwaka ngapi? Karibu mwaka 50 hata. Siku ile fika ya Pokot tumeenda tukarudi tukasoma kwa mashamba hiyo ya PMD. Sasa karibu mwaka ngapi? 50 tumeisha hapa. Na sasa tunaenda wapi? Sasa useme tuende wapi?
The women have since pleaded with the government to let them stay at the farm, saying they have lived there for over 50 years.
I think the government should be lenient on us, giving us a period of time so that we may plan ourselves and buy land. Secondly, we may also be given time to prepare ourselves. This is a time that is so dry. We should be given a time that we should understand. The government should also understand that most of our parents pay fees through selling the livestock. And
they further said only armed herders from the neighboring counties should be evicted. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Love Miriam.
Away from that, leaders from Kitui County are calling on the national government to consider giving relief aid to residents as a result of the harsh drought. They are also calling for the launch of the school feeding program to keep learners in school. Kitui is experiencing a harsh drought as a result of failed rains.
Speaking at Nzawa Secondary School while opening a laboratory funded by the CDF, Mwingi West Member of Parliament Charles Nguna called for the classification of Kitui County as a hardship area prone to insufficient rains and persistent drought. The legislator urged the government to supply residents and schools with food.
Kitui County, we need school feeding program. We need school feeding program. Sai watoto hata angalieni vile msitu inakaa. Kumekauka. Kila mahali ni mkauko tu. Na mnaniambia sasa ofisa wale ambao wanafanya hii county hawapati anti-ship allowance. Hiyo nimekataa. I have already done a petition in Parliament.
Mwingi North MP Engineer Paul Nzengu said it is a matter of time before learners stop attending school due to hunger.
Sasa hii kiangazi ambayo iko hapa inaonekana katikati ya wiki mbili wiki tatu wanafunzi wengi hataweza kwenda kwa shule. Sana sana wa primary ambao nyumbani hakuna chakula na shuleni hakuna chakula. Kwa hivyo ile chakula ikipelekwa kwa shule, watoto hata kama nyumbani hakuna chakula wataweza kuamka asubuhi na kwenda wakiwa na hakikisho ya kwamba wakifika shuleni watapata chakula.
For Lunchtime News, my name is Yusuf. Hello.
Residents of Mandera County are being urged to collect their Huduma cards that are lying in various government offices. Mandera County Commissioner Onesmus Kiava says the cards are lying at Huduma Center in Mandera, but residents can also collect the same from the chief's offices.
County Commissioner of Mandera South Onesmus Kiava has urged residents to pick their Huduma cards. Kiava noted that some of the residents have already received messages directing them where to collect their cards.
Nataka mchukue hiyo card kwa sababu hiyo card itatumika sana. Si mumeona?
The commissioner also explained that the government will soon roll phase 2 of Huduma cards registration for those who missed the first phase.
Hiyo card ndio itatumika kwa sababu ya ukora ile imekuwa hapo zamani.
So far, 15,000 out of 22,000 Huduma cards in the Mandera County have been collected.
Well, on that note, we take a short break. Remember, this is Lunchtime News. Don't go too far. Up next is Business News.
You have no right to beg for mercy for her.
I'm willing to take her punishment. Please forgive her.
Please help me to check his real identity and confirm he is your son.
It's a trap. Eugene! Promise. I will get revenge.
Bado sisi wenye nyumba tutoke kwa nyumba mwingie nyinyi, alafu mtaishi amstarehe mfreshane. Una kazi ya kufanya wewe?
Yaani wewe unajiingilia mahali tu unajiingilia tu. Yaani ningekushinda kupiga mapanga ingekuwaje?
Kina nani ni wapenzi? Wewe na Safari. Sasa tumfuta yupi?
Bado una vita na mimi sio?
Hapana. Wewe hasa una matatizo gani mwanamke wewe?
Kwa nini shemeji?
Na akijua kwamba hiyo penalty haiko panda na nyumba, hautafurahikia.
What does this number mean to you? A pack leader? A winner? Or just a number? To us, it means freshness, boldness, vibrancy and heritage. That's why at KBC Channel 1, we make it easier for you to pop up your family entertainment to a fresh, exciting and colorful bouquet.
Welcome back. Now let's talk business. Horticulture and coffee earnings lifted Kenya's total export revenue to a decade high in the first half of this year. Data from the Central Bank of Kenya shows the country's export in the first 6 months of this year increased by 16.3% to 368 billion shillings. But despite the record earnings from the exports, Kenya's imports rose fastest in the period to 992 billion shillings.
Earnings from horticulture, vegetables, cut flowers and fruits rose 30.8% to 73.1 billion shillings, while coffee was up 22% to 16.1 billion shillings in the 6 months to June 2021. In the period, Kenya exported goods valued at 369 billion shillings, which is a 10-year high despite challenges brought about by COVID-19 pandemic. The earnings represent a 16.3% increase from 317.1 billion shillings over a similar period in the year 2020. Most of Kenyan exports were to Uganda, Tanzania, United Kingdom, Netherlands and Rwanda. Uganda was the biggest market for Kenyan exports. Kenya exported 24.2 tons of coffee worth 16.1 billion shillings during the period, according to data from the Central Bank of Kenya. In the period under review, Kenya exported 335 tons of horticulture valued at 68 billion shillings, up from 51 billion shillings in the year 2020. Tea earnings remained flat at 63 billion shillings after production dropped 298.5 thousand tons in the first half of the year 2020. However, despite the record half-year earnings, the gap between imports and exports expanded due to increased imports of crude oil, machinery and materials for factories. Kenya bought goods worth 992 billion shillings, a gap of 623 billion shillings from 460 billion shillings in the same period last year. O'Brien came for Lunchtime Business News.
Rice farmers in Migori County are up in arms over delayed compensation after being displaced from their land when the National Irrigation Board set up the Lower Kuja irrigation scheme. The farmers who were affected during the trial phase are threatening to seek legal redress if they are not compensated by the end of next month.
The Lower Kuja Irrigation Development Project is located in Nyatike Sub-County, Migori County, within the Lower Kuja River Basin. Although the irrigation scheme has benefited hundreds of locals from the semi-arid Nyatike with constant water supply for irrigation and domestic use, some residents claim they are yet to be compensated.
Because as now, many people have been decided from their original states and they are now hanging elsewhere. They don't know where to do, they cannot get enough money to stay to build the new houses.
Hii mradi wa Lower Kuja irrigation ilikuja na force ya maji ya mtaro ambayo ilikuwa imechimbwa ikielekeza hizo maji kwa boma yangu. Ilinibidi ni ame na familia yangu.
The way they started their project, they dug canals towards homesteads where we lived at Sagama, and thereby the water forced us to be displaced.
Samson Ojowi, one of the elders, say they have waited for almost a decade to be compensated for their parcels of land that was put under irrigation.
We have got some people in us here who have not been paid on their piece of land. We require this one to be paid to them after surveying. As a drainage has been created in our farms, which we cannot use those farms.
This despite the National Land Commission and the National Irrigation Board making several promises to settle the claims.
One thing I want to assure you is that the management is looking into a way to address the issues that are being brought forward.
Plans are underway to roll out phase 2 of the multi-million Lower Kuja irrigation scheme. Caroline Jenga for Business News.
Meru County officials have benchmarked in Kisii County on value addition on bananas in efforts aimed at maximizing earnings for farmers and reducing cases of middlemen buying directly from farms. Meru Chief Officer Cooperative Catherine Kithenji says value addition products from bananas such as baking and porridge flour would earn farmers more.
In Meru sell bananas directly to middlemen as low as 200 shillings who resell it as much as 700 shillings in major towns. To maximize earnings, Meru County officials have toured Kisii County to benchmark on value addition initiatives being undertaken in the region.
In this case, the target was a banana value chain, and we were looking at the entire value chain from the farmer. What price, what is the best price they can be able to fetch for their banana stock or the banana fingers, and how can it be added value such that it goes back to the market and they get money.
Led by the Meru County Chief Officer Cooperative Catherine Kithenji, the officials said they plan to sensitize farmers to make baby foods, fertilizer and meals for special groups, which would enable farmers to earn more from their plantains.
We look forward to welcoming Kisii banana farmers and processors to come and see for themselves what we can do from the knowledge we get today.
The delegation visited Kenyuni Women Group and Nyangorora banana processors in Nyaribari Chache constituency and Akula plant under construction at Kiamakoma Ward in Nyaribari Masaba. For Lunchtime Business, I'm Brian Munyuoki.
Saudi Arabian energy giant Aramco has seen its profits jump almost 4 times, boosted by a rise in oil prices as demand recovers. The company says the easing of COVID-19 restrictions, vaccinations, stimulus measures and the return of economy activity supported the results. Here are the details of these and other stories from across the globe.
Crude oil prices have risen by more than 30% since the start of the year. Aramco's chief executive has given an upbeat assessment for the rest of 2021. The firm, which is the world's biggest oil producer, says net income rose by 288% to $25.5 billion for the second quarter. However, the rise in profits is not welcomed by campaigners against climate change who have described Aramco as the world's largest corporate greenhouse gas emitter. Environmentalists claim Aramco is responsible for more than 4% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions since 1965. Meanwhile, U.S. job openings hit a fresh record in June amid reports the country continues to face a labor shortage. According to figures from the Labor Department, job vacancies jumped by 590,000 to 10.1 million on the last day of the month. That was up from a record 9.5 million openings in May and well above economists' expectations. It comes as companies struggle to find workers in sectors such as leisure and hospitality as the economy reopens. U.S. unemployment surged 14.8% at the start of the coronavirus pandemic, but the economy has been recovering strongly this year. However, despite restrictions being eased, workers have not rushed back to jobs in the numbers expected. Finally, Amazon.com Incorporation says it will pay customers who suffer injuries or property damage from defective goods others sell on the U.S. platform in a new policy to reduce litigation. For years, consumers have sued the world's largest online retailer, arguing it is liable when a merchant sells bad products on Amazon.com. The e-commerce firm maintains that sellers themselves are responsible, and most courts have ruled in its favor. A state appellate court in California, however, last year said it could be liable for goods it stores and ships via its Fulfillment by Amazon program.
And now in the world of sports, Kenya Beach Volleyball Commission has embarked on a nationwide campaign of training high school students as part of growing the game. The campaign is also aimed to educate and create awareness to the children.
Kenya Beach Volleyball Commission Chairman Moses Mbudhia launched the campaign at Graceland Secondary School, after which they will take the initiative to Bindo Bay in October. According to Mbudhia, who is also Kenya Volleyball Nairobi Chairman, the commission will also conduct training clinics in addition to launching volleyball circuit in all the 47 counties.
Volleyball Federation and on my own behalf, together with the Beach Volleyball Commission, we want to be to appreciate the director of Graceland for being among the first people to start the beach volleyball in their school. And we are telling you, madam, the choice that you've taken, you will not regret. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. The purpose of launching the campaign is to popularize the sport, especially after the beach volleyball team emerged victorious in Morocco, and despite being kicked out in the Olympics, they gave a good account of themselves. In the qualifier matches, Kenya team of Braxidis Agala and Gaudecia Makoha beat Nigerian pair Amaki Uchekunku and Francisca Ikihede 2-1, while captain Oscar Hasisi and Yvonne Wavinya easily silenced the duo of Albertia Francis and Tochuku Noruga 2-0. Daniel Mwendwa, Sports.
Roberto Firmino scored twice, with Takumi Minamino getting the other.